Hey guys, we got another exciting video for you today. This is on the ZFORCE 950 HOEX. This is the same one that we put our Moorhead off-road A-arms on. And we've got the 34-inch ITP Blackwaters on at the moment. But we're moving to the rear of the machine on this video because we are going to be installing the high clearance rear radius rods, and these are exclusively available at Main Street Cycle, teammsc.com, and these are designed by Misfit Garage. Very high quality radius rods. Every piece and component of this kit is top notch. We also in this video are going to be installing the quick disconnect fully adjustable sway bar links. We'll talk about those in just a little bit. So Joel's going to be installing the driver's side, and then we'll take you through each step on the passenger side. It'll mirror each side, of course. But while he's doing that, I'm going to talk about a few specs about what makes these radius rods so special. Okay, because I mean, of course, the very first thing that you would want to, benefit from these is the high clearance. You've got more ground clearance overall. It's not actually a lift, it's just giving you that clearance that you need if you're going over rocks or a stump or going over obstacles out on the trail. And if you're backing up or anything and you catch that lower rear radius rod, it can be caught on something bent. I've seen where a few guys in the ZFORCE 950 group that do, they do more rock crawling, or they riding some pretty rough trails, they have actually bent this lower rear radius rod. And with this upgrade, it's going to have a arch to it, which is going to give more clearance overall. And we'll show you that when we set it down. I'll show you how much more clearance it's going to give you. But first, let's talk about the material, because that's another thing. These are going to be very long lasting. They're tougher, stronger, and more durable than the OEM rods. So first off, the Misfit radius rods are manufactured from high quality DOM tubing and capped off with chromoly threaded tube ends. And we'll show you that as we install those as well and get our links just right. And for additional strength, the radius rods have a double rosette weld on each end, and that's the 3/8 weld circle that you see right there under the main weld. But the rosettes add another layer of strength to the rigidity of the overall strength of each radius rod. You'll actually use the upper radius rod to actually do your alignment for your camber. So we'll get that, but the best thing to do is to start at the OEM length. Okay, so that's what we'll do with our new ones. We will get them adjusted, and we will be able to use those to align everything up. The heims are 5/8 inch chromoly 3-piece heims with a Teflon lining for a tighter fit and longevity of your rod ends. The heims also are what's called a F1 fitment, which means they're the tightest fitment you can get in a heim. This, especially on your rear suspension, gives your 950 a much more stable and planted rear feeling when driving. Misalignments are all 303 stainless steel, so they are extremely durable and will never corrode or rust. All right, so before we get to showing you exactly how to install them, now that we've told you about them, we got the driver's side installed, and I just wanted to let you see the difference. I'm talking that these radius rods are up out of the way, absolutely, man. A whole lot more clearance. They're very heavy duty, very nice. There's the stock OEM radius rods. Yeah, Joel was measuring the clearance. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. 2 3/4 to 3 inches is what you're going to get more ground clearance from your rear radius rod.
That's what bottoms out on everything is that.
Right. That's right. Anytime that we go riding and we're going up a rutted hill, the rear radius rods is what's dragging that center rut when your tires are down in the ruts, So being able to get those up and out of the way is going to remove that drag and that resistance and allow you to be able to get up that hill, the rutted out hills and stuff, a lot better. Also, you mud riders, you're riding in them rutted out mud holes, and you know where the center of the mud hole is raised up and your tires slip off into the track in the ruts. This is going to allow you to not get stuck as easy. They're not going to be dragging that mud. So that is very nice. And also, not only is the clearance a good thing, it's the longevity of the heims and the longevity of these, the actual strength of the radius rods itself. Very high quality, man. You can get these. They're going to last you. They're going to give you the clearance you need. So anyways, enough talking. Just wanted you to be able to see it before we install the passenger side. It's the same thing on both sides, but we're going to show you step by step just the removal process and then installing the rear radius rod. So let's get to it. All you need for this job is a floor jack, and we'll show you what sizes you're going to need, but impact and some wrenches will definitely come in handy. I'm wearing this mic, so I'm probably going to have to repeat anything that Joel says, but bless it.
17 on all the nuts and 15 on the bolts.
Okay, 17 millimeter wrench is what he's putting on the nuts, and a 15 millimeter socket is what you're going to need on the bolt itself. So he's going ahead and trying to break it loose a little bit. The upper and the lower radius rod is the OEMs are at a fixed position. They're not adjustable. So you want to make sure you don't get them mixed up. You don't want to get them confused because we're going to actually line up the lower arched radius rod with the OEM lower radius rod. You want to just get them center hole to center hole, and that's where you want to start at. And then we'll use the upper as the adjustment point. But with the OEM setup being perfectly with these tires, our camber is pretty much perfect. So we're not going to change anything. So with that being said, we're going to line up our upper with the new uppers, center hole to center hole, and that's going to get us lined back up perfectly. But if you ever had a certain size tire that you wanted to change your camber, these radius rods give you the ability to give you some positive or negative camber. Joel's just removing the bolts, and you can kind of flex the tire a little bit, wiggle it, and give you some slack, just enough to get the bolts out. And there they go. So that's our upper, and there's our lower. Now, Joel, the lower is slightly longer, right? The lower radius rod on the ZFORCE 950 HOEX is slightly longer. So if you do get it mixed up, at least you can look at it and say, okay, the longer one is the lower. So anyways, we're going to take and we're going to put them on our bench and line them up center to center and install them back. Using this vise to help them spin it on one side and get the threads even on each side, because you definitely want about the same number of threads sticking out of each end of your radius rod. And then we're going to line them up and get center to center. You can also take a tape measure and measure that as well and get it just right. So center hole to center hole, and you'll be good to go. Then we'll use the locking nut and lock her down, but we'll do that once it's on the machine. We're just going to get our measurement right, and then we're going to use a little bit of blue Loctite just to give it a little bit of peace of mind when we lock down the lock nut. Now we're just repeating the process on the lower arched arm, or radius rod rather, and get the same number of threads sticking out of each side, and then get center to center and that will give us our starting point, which we know already from the driver's side that it's actually perfect on the camber. All right, so Joel is inserting the top radius rod. He's got his spacers in, the heims, and you can give yourself space by just wiggling the rear hub assembly, tire assembly there. Inserting the lower. Booyah. Now just a reminder, if I didn't say it earlier in the video, but your top radius rod is going to have a left-handed thread on the heim. So just remember that on one side, and you'll see it. It's labeled, and it will only go in on one side anyway. That way you can just simply and easily adjust the top rod if you ever needed to adjust the camber. All right, so once we tighten that down, now we can add a little bit of blue Loctite. You don't have to, but I recommend it. Joel recommends it, so I'm gonna tighten the lock nut down.
That's on any brand. I've had a bunch of these on some of the razors I've had, and
Yeah.
they're bad about coming loose.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you could hear that with this microphone I'm using, but Joel was talking about how he's had some that are similar to this on his razors and stuff he's had in the past, and they come loose. So from experience, we're putting some Loctite on. We're going to get it, tighten her down. He's just using a crescent wrench on these lock nuts or jam nuts. You want to try to lock your nut down in the center, make sure your heim is lined up on the center there, and then lock the nut down. And then you can get somebody to hold this in place, the lower radius rod, and that way it's just lined up, looks good. And then we'll lower it. Now, until you lower it and put pressure on it, you will be able to move it. Don't freak out about that. It's supposed to do that, but just get it in the right position. And then we'll lower it, and should be good to go. That's a done deal. Joel just took the jack out from it, let it down, and now he's going to crank it up, move it back and forth to scrub it out. Oh yeah. Just scrubbing the suspension out where it'll set at the proper ride height. But man, that not only is it practical, but it just looks good. It just looks really, really good. That's it for this job, guys. We're going to move on to our adjustable sway bar link that have the quick disconnect feature to them. We're going to install them, show you how to do that. But look, if you want these rear radius rods, the high clearance rear radius rods, you can go to teammsc.com. Again, these are exclusively available at teammsc.com, and super excited and proud of these units. Misfit Garage did an excellent job designing these, and we're thankful for our relationship with him. And he's got a ton of great products that are available right here at teammsc.com. I have a link to these down in the description of this video, as well as what we're about to install with the quick disconnect adjustable sway bar links. So I know a lot of you are excited about that. We're going to remove the stock ones and show you how these work. So one cool thing about these sway bar links is that they can work on the front, the rear. They work on the UFORCE 1000, ZFORCE 950. These things are going to work out great, but we're going to install them right here on this ZFORCE 950. HOEX, and we're actually going to show you this side here on the passenger side. We're going to remove the OEM sway bar link. Joel, what do we got on the back side? 15 millimeter on the back side, and then you have to use a 14.
And it's a certain spot. It ain't a complete around. It's just got
Right.
one slotted area.
One slot, it only goes in one position. You don't have to have an impact to do this job, but you kind of really can't fit one in there. It does help though. You don't have to have it, but it helps. Then we'll do the same thing on the bottom side. There we go. So one thing I don't want you to panic about, but because you may get it and think, oh man, this one's a lot longer. Well, that's okay. That's why you put them on both sides. It's just going to reposition your sway bar. It's just going to twist it all up a little bit, but it's going to be on the same side, so it's not like it's adding any tension. It's going to be the same tension. But the great thing about these is that you can adjust them even more. Now, I know I said I was going to show you the install on the driver's side, or passenger side rather, but you do have to remove both links before you can install the either side. So you have to be able to allow that sway bar to move so that you can line everything up on each side. All right, so Joel is now taking the sway bar link and going to start with the top side. Now, there's no scientific way to do this, but we're going to put it where the pin is on the bottom side, and we can remove it and zip tie it up to the top, just like Joel has it there.
Then it's not hanging down here.
Right, you don't want it hanging down on the swing arm and stuff. There's not really a good way to zip tie it there, but you can zip tie it to itself, to the sway bar, to get it up out of the way. And while Joel's installing that, he is having to remove one of the washers.
The thick one on the left, one washer, one rubber. This
Right.
one was here.
Yeah, and he's doing that because just on this particular, on the rear of the 950H OEX, he had to do that to have just enough clearance to put the pin on the back side, just like he's doing now. I'm sorry I can't get the camera in there. All right, so he's got the pin in on the back side, and that's your quick disconnect. Just tightening up the top side real quick. So you got all new hardware for this particular setup. You won't use any of the OEM stuff. Just going to tighten her down. And that's a wrap. So that's installed on the driver's side and passenger side. And if you ever wanted to remove it, just simply pull the pin and then remove the washer. You don't want to lose that. And then you'll have to push out the pin there.
Tie it up.
Then tie up your link, sway bar link, and then you basically have removed your sway bar. So why in the world would you do that? What's the benefit of having a quick disconnect? Well, let's say on Friday you're going to be doing some high-speed trail riding, right? So you're going to be doing some turns fast. You don't want a bunch of body roll. You want it to be very planted. Well, you would want your sway bar hooked up. But then let's say on Saturday you're going to have a change of pace. You're going to be doing a little bit more hill climbing, rock crawling, kind of situation where you want more oscillation on your suspension, and you want it just to be able to oscillate more and have more travel. Well, you would use your quick disconnect, zip tie that sway bar link up, and then it's basically like you have removed your rear sway bar. So, and remember, you can do that on the front and rear. Personally, when I went to Windrock and I did rock crawling with my ZFORCE 950, I left the rear sway bar hooked up, but I disconnected my front sway bar. If you want to do that setup, you could leave your OEM sway bar links in the rear and then just put the quick disconnect up front. That way you can do like I said, one day you can be ripping fast-paced trails, use your sway bar, and then whenever you decide to go crawling and stuff, you want more suspension travel, just disconnect it and zip tie it up and you're good to go. You ain't got to have tools and all that stuff to do it. You can do it right out there on the trail. So that's the benefits of the quick adjustable sway bar links. They're available exclusively here at Main Street Cycle by Misfit Garage. Well guys, that's going to do it for this video. Remember, if you want any of these products, go to teammsc.com and check out all that we have to offer for the ZFORCE 950. And then if you own any other machines, or if you're watching this video and you have a Honda Polaris, Can-Am, Yamaha, just fill in the blank, teammsc.com is your one-stop shop for all of your accessory and parts needs. We've got it all there, and there's stuff being added to the website daily. So check it out. God bless you. As always, remember to keep it real. We'll see you in the next one.